everyone, Lily here, and welcome back to version 2.2 Early Access series. This time, let's talk about Boothill. If you're impressed with what Robin can do, just wait until you see Boothill. Boothill is a character I consider the next generation of break DPS. Since the release of Harmony MC, break teams have been in a bit of limbo. Their ability to provide break effects to everyone and unlock the super break mechanic has turned any team into break team. As a result, we now see teams that operate like hypercarry teams or DOT teams being labeled as break teams simply because they include Harmony MC. Meanwhile, the actual break teams have struggled to synergize with Harmony MC due to the lack of suitable DPS options, as we discussed last week. The release of Boothill is set to change this, as he'll make the break team we used to see cool again. His gameplay fits perfectly with break team philosophy, and his stat requirements focus on stacking break effects, but Boothill will take it a step further through his ability to apply physical weakness to enemies that will enhance the overall strategy. Let's dive into his kit. Oh, right! I forgot to mention the disclaimer. This is the creator experience server. The content seen here is not fully indicative of the final product. There may or may not be changes in the version update. Done. That is mandatory, by the way. Alright, first, let's take a look at his basic attack. As you can see, Boothill has two versions of basic attack: the normal basic attack and the enhanced basic attack. Yes, his gameplay revolves around the enhanced basic attack. In fact, most of his damage comes from here, rather than his ultimate. At level 6, the normal basic attack deals physical damage equal to 100% of Boothill's attack, while the enhanced basic attack has a 220% multiplier. The enhanced basic attack cannot recover skill points and can only target an enemy that is in standoff mode. What is standoff mode? The explanation lies in his skill. Using his skill will force Boothill and a single target enemy into standoff mode for 2 turns. The enemy becomes taunted, and when attacking each other, the damage received by both parties will increase by 15% for Boothill and 30% for the enemy at level 10. The duration reduces by 1 at the beginning of his turn. After the enemy is defeated or its toughness is broken, Boothill gains 1 stack of pocket trickshot and exits standoff mode. This skill doesn't regenerate energy, and his basic attack will be enhanced. So this skill is primarily a tool to access the enhanced version of his basic attack. The key point to focus on is the pocket trickshot, as this will be the main source of Boothill's power. Boothill can stack up to 3 pocket trickshots, and the only way to earn them is by either defeating the enemy or breaking their shield while in standoff mode. This may sound restrictive, but actually more flexible in reality, because it doesn't specify that Boothill must be the one who does it. As long as Boothill is in standoff mode, anyone defeating the enemy or breaking the shield will grant him a pocket trickshot. What are these pocket trickshots for? It's explained in his talent. Each stack of pocket trickshot increases the enhanced basic attack's toughness reduction by 50%, stacking up to 3 times. If you don't know what toughness reduction is, it's one of the variables that determine a character's total toughness damage. You're already familiar with the other variable, weakness break efficiency. Since they are different variables, they stack multiplicatively if both are applied to Boothill. For example, a 50% weakness break efficiency from Ruin May and a 50% toughness reduction from 1 stack of pocket trickshot will result in a 2.25 times increase in toughness damage instead of just 2 times. So, to maximize Boothill's ability to reduce the enemy's toughness, you'll need Ruin May. Surprise, surprise. However, breaking the shield as quickly as possible is really important for Boothill. It's explained in the next line. If the target is weakness broken while the enhanced basic attack is being used, based on the number of pocket trickshot stacks, deals break damage to this target equal to 70%, 120%, or 170% of Boothill's physical break damage. Now this is the insane part. You know that physical and fire hold the highest multiplier for break damage, right? Given that Boothill's primary stat is break effect, he will deal significant physical break damage. Even 70% of his physical break damage is impressive, but 170%? It's as if he can trigger his own bleed effect. However, seems like Hoyoverse is aware of it too, So they put a limitation on how much damage this effect can do in the next line. It says, the max toughness taken into account for this damage cannot exceed 16 times the base toughness reduction of the normal basic attack. This is talking about this part of the equation. Apart from break effect, break damage also scales with the enemy's toughness. The higher their toughness, the higher break damage becomes. Since his normal basic attack only deals 1 break unit damage, the limit for this effect is 16 break units. That's all right in my opinion. After winning the battle, Boothill can retain Pocket Trickshot for the next battle. This just means Pocket Trickshot won't disappear as long as he wins the standoff mode battle. Compared to his talent and enhanced basic attack, Boothill's ultimate might seem secondary in terms of damage output. However, its effect is crucial as it applies physical weakness to the enemy target and delays their action by 40%. This part of his kit was a bit disappointing for me, actually, because it turns out that Boothill's physical weakness application is different from Silverwolf's elemental application. When Silverwolf applies a new weakness, she also reduces the enemy's resistance to that element by 20%. This is what I call a true weakness. However, Boothill only applies the weakness without reducing the resistance. So this enemy who is now weak to physical, its resistance towards physical element is still 20% instead of dropping to 0%. If Silverwolf's application is a true weakness, Boothill's is more of a pseudo-weakness. But that's all right. You can bring Ruin Mei for resistance penetration. Ruin Mei again. The damage multiplier in his ultimate is standard, dealing 400% of Boothill's attack at level 10. Now moving on to his technique. After the technique is used, when casting the skill for the first time in the next battle, applies the same physical weakness to the target as the one induced by the ultimate, lasting for 2 turns. That's convenient. Now you understand why Boothill's primary stat is break effect. It increases the bonus damage from his talent, making it a top priority to maximize. The question is, how much break effect does he need? Well, as much as you can get, actually. However, we need to look at his traces to know the specific number. If Shui converts her break effect stat into damage boost, Boothill converts his break effect into crit ratio. His first trace says, increase this character's crit rate and crit damage by an amount equal to 10% and 50% of break effect, up to a maximum increase of 30% and 150%. In other words, he needs 300% break effect to maximize this effect. I know that's a high value, but that's precisely why Harmony MC exists. These two are made for each other. I'm sorry if I offend all Ruin Mei-less players with all the Ruin Mei mentions. Actually, I don't think Boothill needs Ruin Mei as much as Harmony MC does. Since Boothill already has his own weakness break efficiency, you can free Ruin Mei and use her in your second team. But keep in mind that his break efficiency depends on the number of Pocket Trickshot stacks, so you need to find a way to accumulate the stacks quickly. I'll show you a trick to speed up the process. Remember that the only way to gain Pocket Trickshot is by breaking the shield or defeating an enemy while in standoff mode. What happens if you do both at the same time, breaking the shield and killing the enemy through the physical break damage that occurs? Turns out, Boothill gains 2 stacks of Pocket Trickshot. So instead of spending his first action targeting the elite enemy, it is actually more beneficial to target the trash mobs first. This way, he will gain 2 Pocket Trickshots in a single move, which will increase his damage output significantly during his second action when he targets the elite enemy. I'd say it's worth it, considering his enhanced basic attack without Pocket Trickshot stacks has mediocre damage. And then, during his second action, you can try this. Don't break the enemy's toughness immediately. Keep it around 3 break units or less, and once Boothill's turn comes, cast his skill to enter standoff mode. Then, break the shield with either his ultimate or someone else's attack. Boothill will gain 1 more Pocket Trickshot, and his very first enhanced basic attack to the elite is going to be at full power. Very nice, isn't it? But there is a catch. Since it counts as his win, he will exit the standoff mode, so you need to re-enter the mode again, making the skill point consumption doubled. However, compared to if you target the elite enemy from the beginning, this method is much, much faster. I think that covers his gameplay. Now let's move on to his builds. Besides focusing on break effect, you should prioritize his speed too. It's important for Boothill to move quickly so he can act multiple times before the enemy recovers from their weakened state. The fact that his ultimate has a 40% action delay makes this even more effective. At a minimum, aim for 134 speed. If you can reach 144 or even 161 speed, that is even better. Unlike other DPS, for Boothill, attack and crit are totally optional. He's fine without them, but if your relic piece somehow has crit or attack stats, keep it since damage is damage. Even an extra 1k damage might save you a cycle in Memory of Chaos. As for the light cone, the one from Herta Shop is a good budget option. However, his signature light cone is much better by a large margin. Boothill's signature light cone is so good it can be used by any hunt character in the game, especially if you build them as hybrid breakers. This light cone increases the wearer's break effect by 60%, makes the break damage ignores 20% defense, and if the wearer's break effect in battle is at 150% or higher, their speed will increase by 12%. This is basically everything a hybrid DPS needs, not just Boothill. If you have extra Jades, I highly recommend getting this light cone over his first Eidolons. E1 Boothill is just one pocket trick shot when the battle start, and ignore 16% defense. Nah man, get his signature light cone instead. Before I take you through the rest of his Eidolons, I want to briefly touch on his relics and planar ornaments. On this server, I use a combination of the Thief set and Talia ornament as it's the easiest way to stack break effect. However, if you have GG break effect substats, you can pick other sets such as a combination of 2-piece Thief set and Messenger set. A more radical option is 4-piece Eagle set due to the advance forward effect. For the chest piece, I use crit rate as the main stat simply because it has the highest speed substat. But as I mentioned before, crit stats for Boothill are entirely optional. You can replace it with attack, defense, or HP as long as it gives you high break effect and speed. However, if you care about damage output, then attack or crit is preferable. For boots, go with speed with break effect substat. The sphere should be the same as the chest piece, and finally, the rope should be break effect. Alright, now let's head back to the Eidolons page. I've already shared my thoughts about his first Eidolon. His second Eidolon fixes the double SP consumption issue we discussed earlier and increases his break effect by 30%. I'd say this is better than his first Eidolon. Eidolon 4 increases his damage output while in standoff mode and boosts his survivability while taking hits. This is okay. But the craziest Eidolon is his E6. He practically converts his religion to destruction. When triggering the talent's break damage, additionally deals break damage to the target equal to 40% of the original damage multiplier, and additionally deals break damage to adjacent targets equal to 70% of the original damage multiplier. This is, I don't know what to say about it. Personally, this is too much, but E6 is for whales. I guess it is justified. For people like you and me though, E0S1 is my top recommendation. And that concludes my review of Boothill. In the next videos, I'll demonstrate some of his team comps in Memory of Chaos. See you next time.